years ago, our life was turned upside down. And I never imagined that we would be standing before here today, telling our story of a successful recovery. It wasn't long after Zack's accident at university when we were visited by another TBI survivor and a member of the Brain Injury Alliance of Kentucky. And they provided me with a wealth of information about what to expect. It was terrifying, but I read every word, and it was then that I discovered how important intensive rehab therapy, as soon after an accident, was critical to his recovery. It wasn't long after that when we were visited by Dr. Mook from Frazier Rehab for our first assessment. And Zachary didn't cooperate, but Dr. Mook saw past that, and he recognized our commitment to his recovery, and more importantly, he had faith in his staff that they were exactly what we needed. And what a staff he had. Everyone from our first aide, Shirley, who saw how terrified my 5-year-old was of her brother. And she sat her in a wheelchair and fed her ice cream and talked to her until she was laughing and recognized that her brother was still in there. And the nurses who wrote me notes of encouragement when Zack would have a bad day, reminding me how far he'd come. And our psychologist who understood how hard it was for Scott not to be at the hospital with us because he had to stay home and take care of 3 small children. But she told him that his role at home was just as important to the recovery of our family. And then there was Dr. Kraft, the head of the brain injury spinal cord department of Jewish at the time, who walked in my room one night and asked if we had any questions. And when I pulled out my notebook and he recognized that I had a lot of serious questions, he took me down to a conference room and took 30 minutes out of his busy day to explain to me how the brain functioned, how it recovered, and how important family support was to Zack's recovery. We weren't just another patient at Frazier Rehab. We were a family going through a terrible ordeal. And each person there recognized the role that they played in Zack's recovery. We were very, very blessed to be at Frazier. And we want to thank the Frazier family that in the midst of their own personal tragedy, they recognized that this community needed a fabulous rehab facility. And they had the vision that brings us here today that enables me to introduce you to our own personal miracle, my son, Zack Hornback.
Thank you. Right now, I'm doing great, and thanks to Frazier, they played a huge role in my recovery. I want to thank the staff on Frazier for everything that they did for me and the rest of my family. I also want to remind you that anyone, regardless age, race, or how much money you have, anyone can end up with a severe brain injury. How lucky we are that there's an excellent facility like Frazier Rehab around us to help those that are in need. Thank you for being here to support this great facility. And now you have the opportunity to help a person like me. Take out your checkbooks. Let's do some work.